All right. I guess that's all. About the general information. We can start the session. Thank you very much again for joining and listening to me now. I hope the connection will not fail and everything will be fine. So as you can probably see from this picture on my screen, spring has come, no matter what, despite the situation, spring is here. And today's topic, as you probably know because you've registered for this session, is called Stress-Free Ways to Assess Young Learners in Year 3. I will explain in a moment why I have this picture of wonderful flowers, just as a background. So today we are going to discuss briefly, because it's a big issue. You can always learn more about the issue of assessing students. So we will just look at some ways of how to assess young learners in Year 3. Why Year 3? Because it's a bit different from years 1 and 2. Kids are older. We change our approach to assessing students. Grades appear. So this is probably the first year when legally and officially we can't give students, we are supposed to give them grades. So our approach to assessing students changes a bit. And during my session today, I'm going to use these two terms. I am sure that, I'm sure you know these two words. They have been buzzwords these days. So formative and summative assessment. We spoke about formative assessment last year a lot because, as you probably know, the new Ukrainian school, all this educational reform, so формувальне оцінювання became a thing, so everybody spoke about formative assessment. We had a series of webinars last year about this kind of assessment. So since today, we will look at Year 3 at school when grades appear. So I will also touch upon the issue of summative assessment. I recently came across a wonderful garden analogy. Actually, that's why I have this picture of a garden here on my screen, which very simply illustrates the difference between these two ways to assess students in very simple words. So if we think of our students as plants, all right? So formative assessment will resemble, the process of feeding and watering the plants. So it's something which directly affects their growth and development. This is the kind of assessment which is very positive. It's praising students, noticing students' gaps in knowledge, noticing students' success, letting them see their success, and so on. So it's something ongoing. It's something which we incorporate into every lesson. And the most important thing, it's something ungraded. And that's why it's less stressful. Students sometimes don't even notice that some kind of assessment is happening. It's very good. It's very appropriate for primary school. That's why probably it's been given such a priority, even by the new Ukrainian school. Summative assessment, so you see, I've added these measuring tapes on the screen. Sometimes that's what gardeners do. Sometimes, they measure the height of the plants to see if everything is all right. So summative assessment is similar to measuring the plants. It's useful, it's informative. Sometimes we do give students tests with grades and so on. We measure their progress against some standards. It's a requirement. However, that's a very important thing to remember. It does not affect the growth directly. So both ways are acceptable. We use them both. However, that's the primary difference. So summative assessment happens not that often. At some fixed dates, like at the end of the module, at the end of the term, at the end of the academic year, and it comes with a formal grade. So we gradually get students used to this more adult approach to teaching and learning when grades appear. So if we look back from the garden into the classroom, in year 1 in our new Ukrainian school, it's only formative assessment, right? So 100%, the only way to assess students is through formative assessments. No marks, nothing, positive encouragement, no comparison of students to other students, and so on. So everything is just formative assessment. Year 2 is, I would say, mostly formative assessment. Some schools choose to, start giving students marks in year 2, but it's not a must. So it's still a very positive, gradual start and, introduction of the subject to students. No marks still, However, year 3, and that's why it's different. This is the first year when summative assessment is introduced and students are getting used to getting marks. Well, that's life. We can't change that. And in year 3, that's also, if you work with young learners, you will probably agree with me here. We teach them a lot, right? So it's, 2 aspects like vocab and grammar, 2 language system, more vocabulary, even more grammar. Plus, in year 3, we thoroughly develop all 4 skills, reading and writing including. So texts are longer, they write more, plus listening, speaking, plus, of course, life skills development. We can't ignore that. It's a big, part of the new Ukrainian reform, educational reform. So this 21st century skills and stuff, they should be a part of our lesson plan and stuff and things. So we teach them a lot. It means we should be able to assess a lot, and we should know some ways, stress-free, hopefully, how to do that. One more thing, I've created this pie chart here. I'm a visual learner myself, so it gives probably a clear picture of what's happening in reality. Even though we have 2 kinds of assessment available in year 3, most of the time we assess students in year 3, it is still through formative assessment. And the percentage is something like 20 to 80%. So that's why we should, the more ways to assess students through formative assessment, we know the better, because actually that's a major diagnostic tool still, even in year 3. So today, I've prepared a collection of techniques, of ways to evaluate students, which I've taken from the 3rd level of our resource called FlyHigh Ukraine, level 3. We're still waiting for this book to be delivered to Ukraine, so it's still in the printing house. I think we'll get it here quite soon. However, I will share you some examples of how it's done in this particular resource. Some strategies are universal. You can compare what we have in FlyHigh Ukraine with what you have in your resource if you use some other resource. And I will probably start, with formative assessment techniques, the way they're done in FlyHigh Ukraine 3. Today, I think I have time to share with you 5 ways, the way formative assessment is performed in this particular resource. And I will start with a lesson type from FlyHigh Ukraine, which is called My FlyHigh Diary. I'm sure if we have people here, you can even let me know, if we have people here who work with FlyHigh Ukraine. Those of you who work with FlyHigh Ukraine know what I'm talking about. FlyHigh Diary is a lesson type. It's a spread which comes at the end of each module. It's a kind of revision. However, this is a tool for formative assessment of your students. I will now explain how it works, because it's not enough to announce that this is formative assessment. I will explain the philosophy behind this particular lesson and how formative assessment is conducted. Have a look at the topic of the lesson and the learning outcome. Тема уроку так у нас звучить. Подивись, чого я навчився. All right. Now, the learning outcome. Учні вмітимуть оцінювати власний поступ у навчанні. Well, it sounds great, okay? So this is the way we put it in our calendar planning and, well, the teacher's books plans. But how do we achieve that? How do I make sure that students can really assess their own progress? I will now give you a simple example. We'll just analyze one task, the way it's conducted in, well, FlyHigh Ukraine. So it looks like, well, typical tasks, okay? So typical revision tasks. However, the most valuable part here is, these statements which come at the end of every task. So first students do the task, then ideally they should say something like, I can do this. I can do this. All right. Now, let's have a look at one particular task. It looks very simple, 5 sentences. So students should match them to 5 similar sentences, but we have family words like nouns and pronouns. Okay, so I can clearly see that students probably have learned, well, family vocabulary, they've learned personal pronouns, and, well, it's being checked here. However, the procedure suggested by FlyHigh Ukraine goes like this. We start with books closed. Okay, so books are closed, no FlyHigh Diary yet. No, not yet. So you as a teacher, take those 5 sentences, write them or print them on like slips of paper and stick them around the classroom, all right? So students work in groups and we start a lesson in a very interactive way. So it's a group work. It's a kind of running dictation. Each group has a number of writers and a runner. So a runner runs around the classroom, runs back, like reads the sentences, runs back to his group, dictates the sentences. Students write them down so they can double check, running back to the wall, reading the sentence again, coming back, and so on. It's a very good practice, very good interactive. It can be a practice. It can be turned into a competition. Who is the first to finish? Fine, you can set some time limit if you wish. At the end of this running competition, ideally, every student in every group should have a list of 5 sentences. Fine, very simple. Then a teacher can write pronouns on the board. See what's happening. Actually, for students, it's a kind of game. They were running. Now they have to do some oral, work like here. Ask them one by one to read the sentences and to do the matching orally, like the substitution. My aunt and uncle are on holiday. Now pick one pronoun and just use it in your sentence. They are on holiday. My aunt is on holiday. She is on holiday. You can even cross the pronouns out as soon as they are used. For students, it's just some fun interactive activity for you as a teacher. So it's like evidence of their progress. That's how we track their progress. Then finally, at last, students can open the books and then individually do the matching, which will be quite easy because they've already done it orally right now in their groups. It's very useful for weaker students, for less confident students. So now they do the matching, and at last we approach this statement. Я вмію вказувати на осіб, що є членами моєї родини, називаючи їх іменниками, або займенниками, тобто різними шляхами. So, but everybody now, after doing all these procedures, starting from running dictation, now if you ask your students, can you do that? You can do that in Ukrainian. Зараз давайте зупинимось, молодці, вправу виконали, прекрасно. Ми вміємо називати членів родини? Скільки ми слів уже знаємо? Вміємо? Вміємо. And let them show it to you that yes, they agree that they personally can do that. You can use this, thumbs up, thumbs down technique, or colors like green, like yes, red, no, like you can always give them a choice, like how they show you that, they can do something. Okay, so now, this is, by the way, what you can see now on the screen is what I've just shown to you on my slide. These are notes from the teacher's book, our FlyHigh Ukraine 3 teacher's book. So you see, divide students into groups, a runner, teamwork, like personal pronouns on the board, and finally students open the book. So I absolutely love the plans from the teacher's book. By the way, the person who is today moderating me, Mariana Petrechko, thank you, Mariana, very much, is the author of this great resource for teachers. So lots of great ideas. And now imagine, so we've just looked at one task from this spread. Now imagine we worked like this through each task in a very interactive way. This is a perfect example of how formative assessment is happening. No marks here, we're not grading students, nothing. But for you as a teacher, you're collecting perfect evidence about their successes, about gaps in their knowledge, and like what extra practice they might need, and so on. For students, it's fun and it's a stress-free way, of doing revision tasks. One more thing, since this is year 3 we are discussing today, right? Not year 1, not year 2, year 3. The statements here is not only about я вмію називати, right? Я вмію писати, я вмію сприймати на слух. And it's also interesting when after they do a task, you draw their attention that now it's not just that they know the word. Yes, it's one thing to know, to say the word, but they can write the word without mistakes. It's another success. So one thing which is good, you can say the word, but you can do more than that. You can write the word without mistakes. It's double perfect. Okay, I love these lessons. I love the lesson plans which come with FlyHigh Diary. Unfortunately, I need now to move on with other ways of formative assessment from FlyHigh Ukraine. But if you want to learn more about how to work with FlyHigh Diary and, more about formative assessment, last year we had lots of webinars on this topic. So you can find a recorded webinar of ours on formative assessment, and there is a collection, if you have not watched it, a collection of classroom tips, how you can conduct formative assessment with your young learners, how to work with achievement cards which come with FlyHigh Ukraine, how to do peer assessment in class, how to use color coding, exit tickets, quick response technique, mini whiteboards, lots of things. So once again, there is this platform called the Internal Education in Young Learners with lots of stuff. One of the sections is called recorded webinars. So we've collected all webinars on teaching young learners in one place. So you can find a webinar on formative assessment there and watch it if you wish. So back to FlyHigh Ukraine 3, there are 7 modules in this resource. So FlyHigh Diary comes at the end of every module. So now imagine, of course, there will be a test, module test. However, prior to that test, imagine such a nice, positive, stress-free, interactive revision lesson, which is exactly in line with formative assessment. So 7 FlyHigh diaries. Another way to evaluate students through formative assessment, it's projects. We often think of projects as, a kind of lesson when students try and creativity. It's a noisy, messy lesson. Teachers like these lessons less than students. However, today I want us together to look at projects as another tool of formative assessment. In FlyHigh, we have lots of projects, plus we have a new section. We have new types of lessons now in this new edition of the book. So we have my culture projects. But however, the main thing about the project is, first, they create it, fine. But when the presentation stage comes, when they start sharing the projects orally, it can be like a written presentation. Again, look at this stage as another way to evaluate your students through formative assessment. No matter what they do, in FlyHigh Ukraine, projects come at the end of my FlyHigh diary section, but it can be a separate lesson. You can extend it into a different lesson. And no matter what they do, a holiday chart like here, or a class map, or a picture diary, or a poster, just some examples from FlyHigh Ukraine 3. So when the moment of presentation comes, for you as a teacher, again, it's a perfect time to collect evidence and to track their progress, because they will be using some vocabulary, they will be using some grammar structures and so on. It's a great way to to give your students constructive feedback after the project and so on. So I will not say much today about projects, because I'm sure you know a lot about this thing. However, I included it under number 2 on my list because it's another way, another tool for formative assessment, and we should keep that in mind as well. When somebody comes to observe your lesson and you're planning a project, and so if somebody, I don't know, who observes you asks you why, it's something, it's fun, it's not a real lesson. So now you can explain that, it's formative assessment, and that's important. Culture projects are great. We have wonderful new blocks of lessons on developing life skills, about Ukraine, culture studies. So I'm sure your students will love them. You will love them as well, and you will particularly like the lesson plans which come with all these projects in the teacher's book. So we have 7 wonderful projects plus 2 culture projects. So loads of work, loads of chances for formative assessment through projects, if you like them. Number 3. This is probably one of my most favorite lessons from FlyHigh. I will explain why. It's called Funtime. And it looks like, they're also spreads. So you can do it as one lesson with a stronger group, can be extended into 2 lessons if you wish. So it looks like a collection of just bright, colorful activities. Students really have fun while working on these tasks. But you, as a teacher, collect lots of information about their performance. So it's another tool of formative assessment. I will briefly demonstrate you just one task how it works, and you will understand what I'm talking about. So the task here is very simple. Color the family members to get to the plane. Now imagine what students do. They color, they find the route to the plane. Will they like it? Of course they will. For me as a teacher, while my students are doing that, I will be walking around monitoring and just collecting information about like how well they remember vocabulary because they've learned all these words. And it's not only about family words. If you see here in one task, we have lots of categories of vocabulary which they've already studied. So you can use this color coding. So choose a color for every category and color all the words belonging to that category. And again, they will like it. And you as a teacher monitor and you see how quickly they do that, how confident they are about this vocab. It's again, this is what formative assessment is about, right? But one more thing, there is a riddle, the fun question at the end. So where is the family going? And we see that there is one odd word, England, which doesn't fall into any category. That's the answer. So the family are going to England by plane. Fine, now we know the answer to this riddle. However, it's not the end of the task yet. Now write the words. And while they're doing that, again, you're collecting information about how good their spelling is, how quickly they start writing the words into different categories. See, this is actually the way we indirectly assess students by means of formative assessment. Our wonderful teacher's book suggests even more than that. There are some great optional activities, and I just can't help sharing one with you. So what Mariana Petrechko suggests to do after they finish writing the words, you give students 1 minute and warn them that now you're going to check their memory, visual memory. So give them 1 minute, ask them to concentrate and to try to remember as many words as they can. So let them try to memorize the words. Then students close the books, and that's important. You put two students together, and they start working in pairs, and they kind of recall the words together, as many words as they can. Why in pairs? Because it's less stressful. Have you ever tried, this test, like remember something, close the book and try to write down as many things as you can? It's very stressful because you often feel like you don't remember anything. But when you do it with somebody else, it's more interesting. So see what happens. And while they're doing that, formative assessment is happening. So you see how many words they can spell correctly from memory and so on, even when they help each other, correcting each other on the way. It's perfect. Peer assessment, peer check, peer teaching are a part of formative assessment. So then, of course, they can open the books, they can check their lists against that table with words. You can go for a second round if you want. Just give them a challenge. Do you want to double the number of words? Have another look at the page. Close the books again. Add more words to your list if you wish. It can go on. Students are having fun. That's why it's called Funtime. And you collect information. You track their progress in such a nice, indirect way. And again, back to the teacher's book. I can't stop praising the teacher's book because that's something which you can't see from just a page in the student's book. All these ideas, how to set up a task, they come from this wonderful resource. And that's actually what makes a lesson great. And you see, I underlined some phrases in green. Praise the children. Praise the children. So we just included this small but very important reminders into the lesson plans, because that's what formative assessment is about. Notice what they do, good. So we always notice mistakes. We quickly catch every student's mistake, but sometimes it's even more important to praise them even more than they deserve, but that's important. And just before I move on, this is one of my favorite tasks. Students, well, it's a wow task for students. There is, from Funtime, a secret code. See the strange symbols here? And now the task. There is a message. It's quite long. Now imagine, the engagement students have when they start deciphering the message. I've started with one word, goodbye, and then we have this long message which finishes with the exclamation mark. Okay? However, that's fun. That's the fun part. Now the task itself, write your own message. And see what's happening now. Students first write their message in English, right? English, that's important. And the message is not just, words. So there will be some vocabulary, there will be some grammar in that message, of course. While they're doing that, even at the stage of, English language message, you can again go around, help them. They might have this, crazy idea for the message. They might be struggling with language. You can help them in some simple language appropriate for level 3. Okay, that's done. A message written in English. Then they cipher it using symbols. Then they pass this piece of paper to their partner. What happens next? Their partner deciphers the message back into English. So again, spelling, vocab, will they understand their partner's message? It means like checking comprehension and stuff. So it's a great task. And well, for students, it's loads of fun. For you as a teacher, it's a great tool, again, of formative assessment, because we can see how confident they are when using language. All right. Yeah, positive encouragement and tracking progress indirectly. Again, perfect lessons, great examples of formative assessment. In FlyHigh Ukraine 3, Funtime spreads come after 2 units. And that's very important because it's what we call cumulative revision, because Funtime spreads contain vocabulary and grammar from 2 units. And we all know that, well, recycling is important. So there is a chance to revise everything after every unit plus after every 2 units, which is, well, great. Okay, we've looked at My FlyHigh Diary, projects as a tool of formative assessment, Funtime lessons from FlyHigh. A couple of words about My English. This is a section which appears in the activity book. However, students are supposed to do it in class with the teacher. I will now briefly explain how it works. This is formative assessment. So again, it comes at the end of the unit when they are revising everything they've learned. So there are 3 stages here. Stage 1, students are given 3 or 4 modal sentences, basic sentences which contain all the target, structures which they've learned. If you look at these modal sentences, I clearly see that they have learned, have got, has got, possessive as, some and any in statements, questions, and short answers. Quite a lot of stuff. So first, we do the class drill. We just drill together with them these target sentences, modal sentences. Okay, we've done that. Stage number 2, substitution activities. So we take it sentence by sentence. I suggest, we do it interactively somehow. You can take a ball and you substitute 1 or 2 elements from the modal sentence, like Katie and dog. Now you can throw a ball to students and say, Irinka phone. And students are supposed to produce a similar sentence, but with new, just words like Irinka's got a phone. This is Irinka's phone. It's a kind of drill, again, substitution drill. Then this student throws a ball to another student. Thinking of two new things like Nick, backpack, name, object, name, object. And another student produces something like Nick's got a backpack. This is Nick's backpack. So it's like, again, it's a kind of drill, but they're drilling structures, like chunks of language. So we do the substitution, fine, it's just language practice. Now, the most important part, we're talking about assessment today, not like vocab or grammar practice, right? So my English, sentences come with these smiley faces. Now students can take a pencil, any color they wish, and they color the face which demonstrate their level of confidence after they perform this task. And you see what's important, we don't have this unhappy smile. And it's also important, we have a neutral face, a happy face, and a very happy face, which is also, it's a little like detail, but it's also important, no unhappy smile. So let them color the, smile. And again, what's the most valuable thing here is this second of self-reflection. When they stop and while they are not choosing the color of the pencil, they're thinking, so which face to color? And well, of course, so it's very subjective. Well, it's not probably your, evaluation of their performance will be different from the face they color, but still, you let them do that. Self-assessment is a very important part of formative assessment, like peer assessment. Self-assessment is extremely important. And in FlyHigh Ukraine, it happens not only in my English sections, but also in short quizzes. We have 7 short quizzes, which can be done at the end of every module. It's not a test. No marks here. No, it's all about self-assessment. And we never call it a test. So when we do these quizzes with students, we call them, let's do some fun quiz. Fun quiz. They're always short, 3 tasks max. And the procedure is the following. Students do the task. The second important stage, they do the self-check. So teachers don't collect and mark these tasks. No, it's self-check. How it happens? So you can write the answers when they finish on the board, so they can check what they have with the answers on the board. Or you can distribute the small pieces of paper with the answers so they can, again, do the self-check. And the most important stage, number 3, they, again, color the stars. Every task contains 5 questions, 3 tasks, and each task can get the maximum of 5 stars. It should be done in a very positive way. Students understand that you don't collect, those papers. You're not going to, show their parents or punish them for something. This is the important thing is, this process. Formative assessment is all about process, not some end result. The process of, first working through the tasks, doing the self-check, coloring the stars, like reflecting. And of course, students, are smart, especially in year 3, they see that they can even start a collection of a maximum number of stars from one quiz is 15. For example, what's the total number of stars you collected? 12. All right, next time you can get more. They can see how the partner students perform, who has more stars, who has less stars. Maybe it will be an additional, just motivation for them to try to perform better next time. However, self-assessment is extremely important. We have lots of chances in FlyHigh that students can do that. Well, my English sections, you remember those modal sentences drilling, they come again with every unit, and plus we have 7 short quizzes. As you see here now from, well, this slide with the wealth of, tools, there is a lot which comes with this resource. Of course, depending on the number of hours you have, the level of your students, you can omit some of these things. So you can just choose what you prefer to do with students, but still there is a lot to choose from, and that's a very good thing, right? It's always good to have more than to have less. All right, so that's, I guess, it about formative assessment. I can continue. However, as I've already mentioned, we have lots of recorded stuff on our website, so you can always learn more about formative assessment. I've tried to share you the tools which come with FlyHigh Ukraine Level 3. And just a couple of words about a different kind of assessment. Do you remember that different term? We've spoke a lot about formative assessment. That's 80% of the time we assess students. Summative, thank you, Anna, thank you, absolutely, summative assessment. So summative assessment, well, usually it's like tests, right? Formal tests, graded tests. In FlyHigh Ukraine 3, we have 2 types of tests. Progress reviews, there are 7 of them. They come after every unit. And there are 3 end of term tests. Again, you can just skip some of them. You can do them all, up to you. The most important thing is they're all graded. And no matter what kind of, symbol system you use, a traditional 12-point, our standard grading system, some teachers add, through slash, they give a grade and add some letter or write a phrase, like encouraging phrase like well done, even if it's 10, or you're making progress or need to work a bit harder. Fine. So, however, what I want to suggest, I'm sure some teachers do that, you can try, even if you do summative assessment and you give them a mark, you can add formative feedback. I love this stars and steps technique. Some of you might have seen it before. So you give them a mark, for total grade for the test, and you can add, a little star and write at least one good thing which they did. Like, wow, lots of family words, or your spelling your family words is great. So with a star. And then you draw some steps. And again, even if they made more mistakes, you can point out one. Are you sure we use some with questions and question mark? And let them think, reflect, self-correct, whatever. So that's what we try to do a lot with teenagers. Feedback is important. It does take time, just to add these things, but this is actually, that's what works. Okay, so you can try the stars and steps system. Your students and their parents will like it. Okay, so back to our contents page from FlyHigh Ukraine 3, loads of things, loads of ways to assess students, both formative and summative. And it's very easy to find those tests. Teachers who work with FlyHigh Ukraine know, I'm sure they know about our new platform, which is called FlyHigh Digital. We collected everything. It's like a bank of resources for FlyHigh users. For parents, FlyHigh Library, FlyHigh Interactive with videos, plus teachers FlyHigh support. And if you go there, if you jump in, so it's everything from calendar planning, printable cards, phonics, FlyHigh diary, statement cards, and tests. Downloadable, printable, everything is in one place. So again, you save your time. That's very convenient. All right. So I remember about the lottery. I think, so let's cross our fingers that right now we're going to choose 20 lucky people who get the books. I've tried to very briefly go over seven ways of assessment students in year 3. The example was FlyHigh level 3. We're waiting for this resource. Зараз я вже, напевно, перейду на українську мову. Ви мені дякуєте, бачу вже щиро, я вам теж щиро дякую за увагу, за те, що дослухали практично до кінця. Зараз у нас буде лотерея. І ще раз нагадаю, що FlyHigh Ukraine 3-го рівня ще зараз фізично в Україні немає. Очікуємо, на наступний навчальний рік він точно буде. Мар'яна Петречко, яка сьогодні модерує мене, зараз якраз закінчує працювати над книгою для вчителя, і теж на наступний навчальний рік уже буде цей прекрасний надзвичайний ресурс для вчителя. Тому давайте чекати їх разом. Я думаю, що вам буде цікаво працювати з цими ресурсами. І перед лотереєю я ж не можу просто так вас відпустити, все-таки Formative Assessment, говорили про це, є код. Хто з вас перший розшифрує його? Ох, бачу уже дуже швидко, молодці. Well done, well done. So you've deciphered the code very quickly, well done. So that's what I want to say to you. Well done, everybody. Дуже дякую за увагу і за коментарі, за участь. Ну і нарешті лотерея. Це дуже приємно, п'ятниця, майже кінець уже робочого тижня, і зараз 20 людей, я думаю, підуть на вихідні з просто чудовим настроєм. Будемо працювати з вами наступним чином. Я постараюся це повільно робити, щоб ви це все бачили. Я зараз поділюся своїм екраном з вами, і ви побачите, що у мене є довжелезний список з вашими мейлами. Да? От всі, хто сьогодні дивиться мене, ось вони всі тут є. Я їх копіюю, от всі, хто є, копірувати. І ми користуємося програмою, яка називається Random.org. Ось я все сюди гарненько вставила, ось вони всі імейли. І саме головне, я натискаю клавішу, яка називається Randomize. І програма сама обирає 20 перших мейлів. Це і будуть наші переможці. Я зараз їх скопіюю і в чат-бокс наш виставлю, щоб ви не переживайте, коли воно зникне з екрану, воно буде в чаті. Якщо ви себе знайшли уже серед переможців, я вас дуже вітаю. Ось переможці. Зараз ще раз про всяк випадок. Так, я повертаюся до слайдів. Щиро вам дякую. В найближчу, ну сьогодні п'ятниця, кінець робочого дня, і напевно це вже буде в понеділок. Хтось з менеджерів Internal Education з вами зв'яжеться, з 20 людьми, і ви проговорите всі деталі доставки цього прекрасного ресурсу, де б ви не жили в Україні. Ті, кому не пощастили сьогодні, хочу нагадати, що на наступному тижні ми дуже активно продовжуємо працювати. У нас купа нових проєктів. Я вже анонсувала, що буде багато всього саме для вчителів, які в середній школі. Слідкуйте за нашим новим проєктом, який називається Get More with Go Get. Ми також будемо розігрувати дуже багато підручників для середньої школи, тому це ще не останній раз у нас відбувається лотерея, сподіваюсь, пощастить наступного разу. Я вам дуже дякую, ще раз нагадую про сертифікати. Протягом тижня обов'язково ви їх отримаєте. І, звичайно ж, платформа The Internal Education Young Learners, де, якщо ви з Young Learners працюєте, все зібрано. І те, про що я говорила сьогодні, всі наші записи, вебінари, будь ласка, користуйтеся, нам приємно. Всім дуже дякую. Ірина, you are a winner. Congratulations. That's great. I'm happy for you. Всім бажаю дуже приємних вихідних, навіть якщо це буде просто дома. У мене теж плани залишатися вдома. Я думаю, що ми всі з вами можемо знайти якісь приємні заняття на вихідних навіть вдома з родиною. Тому бережіть себе, без потреби не виходьте на вулицю, все-таки треба постаратися пришвидшити процес, щоб можна було швидше вернутися до нормального функціонування. Тому давайте берегтися. Ще раз всім дякую. Мар'янці дякую прекрасним модераторам у мене сьогодні. І ще раз нагадую, якщо у вас немає інших планів і не дивилися ви ще семінар Мар'яни, який от сьогодні об 11 ранку відбувся, будь ласка, сьогодні о 16:30 у нас буде ще один вебінар. Take care and hope to talk to you soon. Goodbye, everybody. Congrats to winners.